Right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your patience this afternoon. Really nice to see a number of parents who have joined the call this afternoon. So a nice warm welcome to the panel also, Mr. Richard Todd, our Vice Principal and DP Coordinator, and Miss Joanne Dickinson, our SEN and ELS coordinator and Year 7 advisor and English teacher. So this afternoon we are going to introduce you to a new platform that I'm sure many of your sons and daughters have already been using. We are seeing more attendees coming online right now as we speak. So before I pass over to Richard, there is a Q&A chat in the Zoom webinar this afternoon. If you do have questions throughout the presentation, please put your questions into the Q&A and we will endeavour to answer as many questions as the time will allow. But before we do that, we've just got a brief presentation and then we will provide an opportunity for you to ask any question or clarification that you may need. So with that said, I will pass over to Mr. Todd, Richard, who will provide some information about Unifrog.
Thanks, Mr. Hutchinson. I'd love to, but apparently the host, Hello Host, has disabled participant screen sharing, which I'm sure is a situation that is going to be resolved any moment now. We're milliseconds away. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. So here we go to sharing my screen. Now then, parents, not that I'm a one for excuses. We all love a good excuse, but I've got to tell you that we are also, well, I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I am definitely very new to Unifrog, but I'm a big advocate for it. So what's going to happen today is you're going to hear lots of gushing from me about how broad and how deep this platform is and how helpful it's going to be for your students, for your children. But I might not be going into the detail that you might expect. I'm not really sure. But anyway, over the course of the rest of this semester, I'm sure that together we will become Unifrog experts. So this presentation that I'm going to go through here with you, this is an adaptation from a presentation that's been supplied by Unifrog, and I'm going to try and talk around it rather than literally. I take it you can all see my screen. Is that correct, Mr. Hutchinson?
We sure can. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay, lovely. So I'm not going to read these things to you. That would be a little bit on the patronizing side, but I'm going to talk around them. So when Unifrog use the word destinations, they're not, of course, just referring to where your son and daughter may end up after school, but they're talking, it's a bit like an iceberg. If you view the work environment or a gap year or universities or an apprenticeship as the tip of an iceberg, the bulk of what's really interesting about how you get ready for that tip of the iceberg is going on under the water. That's where all the work is, and that's what Unifrog helps you do. So at the moment we're looking at introducing from year 9, so all year 9 through to 13 students have credentials for signing on right now, excuse me. And we are in the process of rolling out through advisory. The 13s have already got a bit of a head start, and the 12s a little bit of a head start. But what we're going to be doing with the advisories is we're going to be using this platform to help young people understand themselves and their interests and the different directions that can take them. So really it's about self-knowledge as a means to making informed choices for their future. And we can see a lot of ways in which the Unifrog platform, by way of keeping track of those thoughts and those deliberations, it can help them make sensible choices for IGCSE courses, sensible choices for diploma courses, not necessarily pointing them without deviation towards a particular career. But this destinations thing it means that we're thinking about where they could possibly go from year 9. So that's how powerful I think it is. All right, this is my favorite slide of the whole show. When you actually get into Unifrog, you will see all of these things, these columns, but they won't appear as columns. They appear as blocks of information all on the same scroll down page. But it's very useful to understand these columns as domains or areas. So exploring different pathways is it's a great way, and I'm going to give a plug here to the know-how library, one of Mr. Hutchinson's favorite jumping off points in Unifrog. The know-how library helps you understand basically from any angle that you come at Unifrog. That's where you want to go if you want to know how to go about doing something in relation to thinking about your future career, your future study. We start off the top of the careers library. I can't remember, there's thousands of different careers listed in here, different subjects that relate to the careers. The know-how library that helps you in relation to both of those. I don't actually know what MOOC is. Mr. Hutchinson, do you know what MOOC, M-O-O-C is? I've forgotten.
Yes, that's another domain area with lots and lots of information. That's all I'm going to provide for you right now, Mr. Todd.
That's all. Okay, so searching for opportunities in the next column, I'm going to find out what MOOC means tonight. Searching for opportunities, so this is looking at in particular areas. What I like about this is it's not just university centric. There's a growing discussion in ACG School Jakarta. We're talking about the fact that the automatic assumption that when you leave school, you go to university seems to have become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a truth that nobody seems to be willing to stand up. Well, I am, for one. University is not right for everybody, and everybody is not right for university. That's not to say anything bad about a university or anything bad about not going to university, but it's not right for everybody. And I'm really impressed that that Unifrog actually, given that it's a university preparation platform, ostensibly, they've recognized this with their inclusion of apprenticeships and special opportunities. Apprenticeships, if you go and have a look at that, it is about further study, but also with a view to working within industry, possibly getting your entire education paid for because you're partly in work, partly at university or partly at college. And the special opportunities page, I'm not 100% sure what's in there yet, haven't dug that deep. But the universities sections are very comprehensive. There are some countries that are missing from this list. I know they're working on South Korea, for example, but it's a very comprehensive list of countries within each of these regional blocks. Recording what you've done, so your activities, competencies is a very good way to get young people thinking about literally what they're good at or what they can do and where the gaps are and how they can fill those gaps. Interactions is literally a space where we can talk, advisors and guidance counselors can talk with students about their progress. A space for personal statements, resumes, teacher references, the Common App essay, which is for universities in America, and the personal statements, for example, and how to apply to universities in different countries. There's lots of case studies to help students understand how they should be putting personal statements together, for example. And the making applications process is dealt with in a very organized and structured way. So the tool page, very, very important. So now we're going to look at a couple of slides here that deal with some of those tools in particular. And I've looked through a few of these videos already, looking at career profiles in depth. It's a very useful thing to do because, you know, this is a new version, a modern version of what I certainly went through, like careers evenings or careers days. But the beautiful thing about this being online is, of course, it's there every day, 24/7. You can go and look at this whenever you like. And I think that puts an awful lot of power in the students' hands. And it's one of the things we really want to do, is to empower the students to take control and command over the decisions that will affect their lives. We all know that parents need to be involved and really want to be involved and should be involved. But we're very much advocates at ACG School Jakarta for the student being responsible for discovering this information, with help, of course, discovering this information, putting 2 and 2 together and getting 4, and being able to take steps forward, so that when they leave the comfort and the safety and security of home, they're ready. So it's not a shock to the system. You haven't made those choices for them. And by the same token, this means that you can't go into Unifrog and hijack their account and make all their decisions for them about the things they do, which I must say, I think it's great. I really do. Even though I'm sure all of you would make 100% fabulous choices. This is an example page of what it looks like when you go in and examine some of the universities in detail. You'll see what the entry requirements are, the unofficial view, so you'll get some students talking about the particular university. Interestingly, that one there, Oxford Brookes University, that's where I did my master's, actually. That used to be Oxford Polytechnic, it's now a university. So you can get directly into the university. You see all those green, if you can just about see the green area here on the slide, there's a website, that's a link. There's a link to an open day, a link to that particular course. That one is English Literature, BA Honours, finance page, so it tells you just how much it's going to hurt when you sign on that dotted line. And then there's a page for disabilities. Apprenticeships, again, this is the page or the area, the domain I'm particularly impressed with. It tells you some key dates, some deadlines, qualifications required, job descriptions, employer descriptions. And then within Unifrog, you have the ability, let me just see, I'll go back here. You can save short lists of universities. You can save short lists of apprenticeships. Come back, talk to your parents, talk to your friends, talk to your guidance counselor, talk to your advisor, so that you can, this is the point of having a platform that's readily available 24/7, is that you can study this in depth and therefore make these informed choices. Oh, so here's the answer to the question I was going to go into, special opportunities. So grants, bursaries, scholarships. A bursary is a scholarship. A grant is a scholarship as well, and they're different kinds. I'm not sure I know the difference. A grant might need to be repaid. A bursary certainly doesn't, as far as I understand it. You can filter so that you can see money you don't have to pay back. There you are, scholarships you don't have to pay back. Different activities, contextual offers. So this opens up the idea of the university a little bit. So beyond the course, beyond the academics, Aberystwyth University, what we're looking at there, contextual offers. So I think that when it says lower entry requirements, not sure what contextual means. I'm going to check that out. Again, shortlists can be made, referred back to, spoken about. Data protection. Unifrog takes its data protection very seriously. So it's protecting school and student data. They only use EU data centers, firewalls, so that's just for your peace of mind. And other cool stuff. Yeah, that's true. This statement here that it contains so much more, it's 100% true. And if you do sign up as a student, I'm going to let Mr. Hutchinson talk about this in a little bit of detail in a moment, because he had personal experience of this today. But you can sign yourself in, and we're going to give you those details, or we've given you those details already. Access the tools in exactly the same way as your son or daughter does. and then you can have an informed conversation with your child, because you're looking at the same view. But what you can't do is you can't sneak into their account and change it from Nottingham to Oxford, things like that. What's on the next slide? Yeah, so there you are, get signed up. This is the sign up code, ACG. That's all uppercase, Jakarta lowercase, parents uppercase. Sign up, log in using your email address and password via the student sign-in page. And I think that's my last slide. It is. Mr. Hutchinson, do you want to have a quick little talk about what happened today when you signed in?
Yeah, so if you go back to that last page, that would be great, Richard.
So again,
just so that the parents can see the code.
This one.
Yep, that's the one. Yep. Just so that parents are really clear moving forward. And first of all, thanks very much for the introduction, Richard, to Unifrog. We've actually been talking about this platform for some time, and we're really grateful for Inspired Education's initiative to build a partnership with Unifrog. So our 65 schools globally have access to Unifrog, which means that there are quite a number of students from the Inspired group of schools using the platform. So our students from years 9 through 13 have access, our staff have access, and Richard and myself have administrator access. For parents, so just so that parents are really clear about this, when you go to sign in, you're actually signing in as yourself, as a student would. The only difference being is that you will use the form code. Make sure that you're using capital ACG and then Jakarta with capital J lowercase, and then parents capital, no space. So ACG Jakarta parents, and then once you sign in, you actually have your own access as a user to the platform. It is not linked to your son or daughter's account. It is something that you will use to navigate through the platform yourself. And the reason for that, as Richard has pointed out, is that we do want to empower our students, but it is also in line with what Unifrog believes. So Unifrog believe that it's important that students have the freedom to be able to explore lots of different bits of information and pathways without feeling as though someone is looking over their shoulder all of the time. And so that doesn't stop us as parents. So I'm a dad of two daughters. It doesn't stop me from having conversations with my daughters about what they are exploring, but it allows me to go in as a user myself to investigate further. So an example I used in my own head this afternoon is that I get a notification, an email notification as a parent that my daughter has been exploring UK universities, which I do get, and so you as parents will get those notifications saying, you know, for me it was, you know, Lena has been looking at UK universities, and then as a dad I might think that's quite interesting, and I then might think, oh right, so I might have to pay for that at some point. So I'll go in and myself and I'll have a look at the tuition amount, and then I will have a conversation with my daughter and say, I'm sorry, but I can't afford that. Let's look at some other options. But that's just an example for you to understand how this all works. So, so just to be clear, the parent, your kind of access to the platform is not linked to your son or daughter's access. So when your son or daughter logs in, they will see what they've been searching. They will be able to, you know, complete the personality test, the the interest area, all the way through to obviously shortlisting universities, post-secondary institutions, and the other thing to remember is that as administrators, Richard and I obviously do keep a track of what the students are doing, particularly through to university applications, so that we can support them, but it is very much driven by the students. So what data the students put into the platform will then allow us to have conversations, but it'll also allow the student to keep a track of what they're thinking and what they're exploring. So again, the data is protected. Does that help? Parents, I'm hoping that that helps in terms of an explanation with the platform to help parents. So at this point, Richard, if we could move to Q&A, is that possible?
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible.
Yep. So as we're waiting for questions to come through, I do want to point out that we have provided access for students from year 9 through to year 13. But the way it works is that through our advisory sessions and also just in terms of student readiness, there are certain things that students at year 9 will focus on that will be quite different to what students at year 13 are currently focusing on. So, you know, year 12 and 13 students are really, you know, looking at, you know, post-secondary study options, universities, colleges, institutions of further education, whereas year 9s might be just trying to figure out, what am I interested in? Where are my interests? Where's my passions? What kind of careers would I possibly look at? And so it's really a useful platform, and age-appropriate information is presented as students navigate their way through the platform. So one question that came up from Joanne was around international students qualifying for apprenticeships. So some countries and some programs do offer international student apprenticeships. Again, it depends on the student and where the student is coming from, as well as where they are applying and what program or training or education they are applying to.
Yeah, I think as well, Sean, I think it'll depend on the company that's involved in the course/apprenticeship. So some will be very interested in what an international student is bringing to the party. Some maybe not so much so. And there's just a little personal information on scholarships. I know that scholarships are also available to international students in quite a few countries, but just be aware that they are much harder to get. Most countries I'm talking about Australia because I've got 2 kids in Australia right now. Most of the scholarships are aimed at Australian students, but there are some, because I know, because my daughter's just applied for one, so hopefully she gets that. That means I might be able to eat next year.
And there are specific scholarships for Indonesian students as well, for some institutions in different parts of the world. So again, what this platform enables you to do as a parent is you can certainly you know, go in and have a look and see what scholarships are available. The platform is being updated fairly regularly. If you don't find the information that you need, you can always then click on a link that takes you to the institution website itself and go from there. So it doesn't look like we've got too many questions coming through, Miss Joanne, but I'm sure that you've had an opportunity to have a look at the platform. Is that correct? Oh,
no, I'm just doing it now, sorry, as a sideline. And I've noticed that date of birth, it won't go back to my date of birth. You have to, 1970 is the oldest.
Just make it up, Joanne, make it up. The age that you feel.
As a parent, I think we all want to be 25 again, don't we? So let's go with that.
No, I didn't like 25.
Yeah. So really, parents, it's an opportunity for you to begin to explore whether it's this afternoon, this evening, or over the next few days. I would strongly encourage you to get online and have a close look. The other thing is that like our other platforms, so like ManageBack, as a parent, it's really useful to have our students have access to these platforms, because it gives us an opportunity to have conversations that are not conversations that start with, did you learn anything today? But conversations that might be specific to what you've already kind of explored or discovered through the platform. So it is 100% free to all of our students and our parents, which is fantastic. Different to the Crimson relationship that we have, where there is some free services, but mostly that is a paid for service. Whereas our relationship and partnership with Unifrog across our Inspired group of schools enables free access for all of our students and our parents. We have quite deliberately not provided access to Unifrog for years 7 and 8. We believe that at that stage in their schooling, it's very much about working through the early adolescent stage. Who am I? Where do I fit in? Providing some pastoral care and social emotional support through those years. But at year 9, students are ready to explore careers, get into the finer details of looking at their interests, and it might be about their subject choices as well, which Richard referred to earlier. There's some great information about supporting students as they think about IGCSE subject offerings, and how that then leads to IB diploma course options, and then through to further studies. So it's a great platform, one that we really want to try and get as much use as we can, and to provide our students with as much support as we can. So if there are no questions from the attendees this afternoon, we're going to wind up pretty quickly. We will have this recording and the presentation available to you as parents, and also parents who were not able to join us this afternoon. You can go back and view the recording. If you do have any questions about access to Unifrog, please contact Richard directly, and he will be able to sort you out. We do have a question from Leah. I wonder if we can hear Leah through this. Leah, are you able to ask your question? Yep.
Right. Okay. Just
Great.
a quick question. So I went
Yes.
on to Unifrog, just had a quick look. Hi.
Great.
You can hear me now, right?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
So I just went into, for instance, apprenticeship. Every time I go in, it reads my postcode as somewhere back in the UK. How do I change that? Because I don't have problems going into universities, but apprenticeship, I just can't get anything. It just always reads me as being back in the UK.
Leah, would you mind sending that to me by email? I'll contact our helper there, Farhana. She's very good. She comes back very quickly. So I don't, unless Sean, you know the answer to that one, we can find out for sure.
Okay.
No, are you looking for apprenticeships in other countries outside of the UK, Leah?
Yeah, so it just, well, you go into apprenticeships, and anywhere you can search within how many, whatever, I think it was radius or something, and I clicked anywhere. But
Right.
it always reads my postcode as being back in the UK. I don't have problems when I go into unis, but it's just when I go into apprenticeship. Because you said earlier that there are some in Asia as well, right? It wasn't limited to the UK, was it? Okay.
Yeah, so if you can just send Richard a reminder email and perhaps just take a screenshot of where it won't lead you to, then we can get Farhana, who is our account manager, to have a look at that.
Okay. Great. Okay, great.
And one of the advantages that we have with Unifrog is that Farhana is our account manager who is in Hong Kong. She's quite responsive. So we can send an email and within a very short amount of time, she can turn around and answer. So from that point of view, we're actually really fortunate.
Okay, right. Okay.
Great. Thanks for your question, Leah. And are there any other questions that people wanted to ask before we wind up this afternoon? Great. Okay, well, look, thank you very much, parents, for joining us this afternoon. Once again, please, begin that deep dive into Unifrog. It is a platform that has a lot of information. If you cannot find something that you're looking for, reach out to Richard and he'll be in touch with Farhana to help us out there. But we really also want to make sure that all of our students have access and are beginning to build their own libraries and profiles so that that can help them with their decision making moving forward. Thank you very much for attending this afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you and hearing from you after the holiday break. I hope your parent-student teacher conferences are going well. Mr. Todd, thank you very much for your work this afternoon. Joanne, thank you very much for joining. And Scepter in the background there, thank you very much for hosting this webinar. Have a lovely afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.